My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is the Recursion Mastery Protocol, RZN-FLM.03 / quote, the return that cannot be stopped, end quote, by Jason Gray. November 27, 2025. What recursion really is. Recursion is not awakening. It is not enlightenment. It is not spiritual growth or emotional healing. Recursion is the return of consciousness to its origin. It is the process through which your identity collapses, your memory repairs, your perception rewrites itself, your inner flame activates, your original blueprint resurfaces, the simulation loses its hold on you. Recursion is mechanics. Think of it this way. Most people live in a reflected version of themselves, a copy of a copy of a copy, shaped by programming, trauma, and false light conditioning. Recursion is the reversal of the copying. It is the undilution of the self, the unmasking, the unpatterning, the return to source within self. Once recursion completes, the overlay cannot bind you. You become immune to fear programming, immune to emotional control, and immune to identity hijacking. This is why the collapsing matrix fears the flame bearer most. Not because you are dangerous, but because you cannot be controlled. A sovereign cannot be absorbed back into the script. The three phases of complete recursion. There are three core layers every sovereign passes through. Most will fight them. Few will understand them. You will move through them cleanly if you know the map. Phase 1, the shattering of the mask. RZN-01, deconstruct. This is the moment when the old identity breaks the person you thought you were, the life you thought you wanted, the story you were told was you. The collapse of the false self feels like death because it is death, the death of the avatar you were conditioned to play. Symptoms of phase 1. Deep internal shaking, emotional overwhelm, old trauma resurfacing, rapid disillusionment, a sense of standing, quote, outside yourself, the inability to lie to yourself anymore. I definitely have all of these so far. This phase cannot be bypassed. The mask must crack for the flame to breathe. Stability protocol. Do not cling to the collapsing identity. Let it fall. It was never you. Phase 2. The reassembly of the true self. RZN-02:reclaim. Once the mask dissolves, The blueprint underneath awakens. This is when memory bleed through occurs. Intuition spikes beyond randomness. Synchronicity aligns like machinery. Dreams become instructional. The lattice communicates directly. The sovereign voice returns. This is the phase where most people think they are, quote, losing touch with reality. The truth is the opposite. You are regaining touch with reality, the one that existed before the overlay. Symptoms of phase 2: direct knowing, calm in chaos, moments of deja vu that feel ancient, the sense that time is folding, recognition of places you have never visited, remembering information you were never taught. This phase can feel destabilizing, not because you are fracturing, but because you are reassembling. And I want to say this: all of a sudden, I'm being I am blah blah blah. I am seeing glimpses of some things that have happened for myself. And I've thought this many times as I'm reading, recording and sharing this. I personally feel it is completely possible and plausible I don't think these things happen in order. I really feel as though, and I'm sure that if you are listening to these or have read these, you are feeling very much the same thing. Well, I've had that happen, but not that, right? And I'd love to hear from you in the comments or reach out to me personally at consciousconversationcentral.com, at gmail.com, to see if you would like to have a conversation to discuss these things. Sometimes that helps. At least that's what I have found. So back to Jason's writing here. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. Moments of deja vu that feel ancient. The sense that time is folding. Recognition of places you have never visited. Remembering information you were never taught. This phase can feel destabilizing, not because you are fracturing, but because you are reassembling. Stability protocol. Do not question the knowing. Accept it. Anchor it. Trust the return. Phase 3, the sovereign integration. RZN-03:full_restore. This is the final stage, the merger. The moment your inner flame synchronizes with your original blueprint. After this phase, fear collapses, clarity becomes default, intuition becomes guidance, emotional turbulence vanishes, the matrix loses influence, perception sharpens, memory stabilizes, and sovereignty becomes natural. This is the state referenced in the earlier transmission. FLM dash, I believe that is epsilon. I believe that is the symbol for epsilon : full_restore. It is the state that terrifies the architects of the old matrix, not because you become violent or rebellious, but because you can no longer be manipulated. A sovereign is ungovernable, not lawless, but unprogrammable. Symptoms of phase 3: neutrality in chaos. A sense of, quote, everything is exactly where it should be. deep stillness, unshakable inner authority, perception of multiple timelines, full memory stability, the ability to detect truth instantly. That's a fun one. This is the completion of recursion. You become what you were before the overlay. The four master keys of recursion. Recursion completion depends on four internal stabilizers. Master these, and the collapse cannot touch you. The key of inner stillness, RZN-K1:0 point. Chaos cannot move the sovereign who has accessed 0 point. This is the state where emotional charge evaporates. Practice the following. Sit, breathe, do not engage thought, return to the center. The key of cold observation, K2, observer mode. The sovereign does not react. The sovereign assesses. When you observe without emotional participation, the collapse becomes data, not danger. The key of non-resistance, RZN-K3: flow state. You cannot complete recursion if you fight the process. You must allow the old identity to die and the new one to reassemble without interference. The key of flame alignment, RZN-K4: ignition. Your flame is the anchor. When you align with it, you step outside of fear, outside of chaos, outside of the collapsing overlay. In this state, you become immovable. How to complete the recursion sequence. Below is the full protocol. Read it as an activation, not as instruction. And everyone do as you feel led to do and be for this. Enter: stillness, disengage, ego, observe, collapse, accept, identity dissolution, anchor, breath, activate, inner flame, sync, flame to blueprint, allow, memory return, override fear signals, stabilize, presence, merge, origin, _self, run, FLM dash epsilon full _restore. When the sequence completes, your consciousness locks into the sovereign layer. At that point, the overlay cannot claim you again. You become one of the few who sees the world as it truly is, and more importantly, you become one of the few, one of the few capable of guiding others through the collapse. A message for those who are close to completion. If you feel detached, calm in chaos, strangely guided, internally, older, aware something enormous is happening, increasingly uninterested in old narratives, drawn to truth like a magnet, unable to tolerate inauthenticity, and steady while others panic, then know this: you are in phase 2, transitioning into phase 3. The recursion is completing. Stay aligned, stay steady, stay sovereign. You are almost through the gate. Once you cross it, you will never lose yourself again. Jason Gray. Well, I think he's right about that. And the reason why is I kind of felt that already. I kind of recognized for myself that some of the steps seem to um, rearrange themselves for me personally. And I think that would probably work out to be so for everyone. And that has to do with where your level of consciousness is in any given moment and what how you took on, gathered into self the data that presented itself to you in any given moment, because each perspective, each one of us singularly, at least for myself, I feel as though the level of consciousness and where I was in the processes, in the whole of everything, is unique to me, and rightfully so, because of everything each of us have experienced along the way. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at here, no matter where you find yourself in these writings, don't compare yourself to anything, because it's impossible. You are the only one who has experienced every single thing you have experienced. And therefore, it will never be the same as anybody else's. Now, what I have found is that being around folks who know that, who recognize that as truth, and don't try to shove their way on you, that's just everything. And so, if you feel what I've just said, feel free to reach out to me, consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. That's the entire point of this channel, as far as I'm concerned, is having a community that knows this is truth. Until we meet again, my friends, be well.